Tomayia, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, let's give a warm welcome for Tomayia.
Yeah, let's go. All right. So, good morning, everyone. So, I am Tomayia Colvin. I will be talking with you all for just a little bit about the art of building a personal brand. And so, hey, this is me. So let me tell you a little bit about myself before I get started. So first of all, I am a mama to two amazing kids, Grace and Ivory. They called me this morning and said, "Mommy," I said, "Yes." They said, "Oh, the bus driver didn't pick us up." I was like, uh-oh. But it's okay, we fixed it really fast. So that's my life as a mama. Even when I'm traveling, I still get to be mama when I'm so many miles away. I am a high school senior photographer in Houston, not in Atlanta. I am a doctorate student at Houston Baptist University. I'm actually getting a doctorate in educational leadership. Don't do that. Because I have homework that's due, and for some reason my teacher doesn't believe that this counts as extra credit. I am a community advocate, so one of the things that we're talking about building a personal brand, for me, diversity and inclusion is a really big part of my life, and you'll get to see that in just a little bit. In addition to that, I was a middle and high school teacher for 10 years. Yes, I can deal with little people all day long. And so the benefit of what I'm doing here is that when I get to be Grace and Ivory's mama, Grace finds it quite interesting as a freshman that all of her friends love Miss Colvin. "Hey, Miss Colvin, hey." And I think it's because I bring food, but it works. So the benefit for me for being in my personal brand is that I'm operating in my space in which I love. Like, I absolutely love high school seniors. I love everything about teens except their attitudes, right? And so, you know, the benefit for me is that when I'm out on a session with a senior, I get a chance, and you'll see it in just a minute, I actually have what I call play dates. And so I get to go out for an hour and a half, 2, if it's a high school senior girl, 3, because she brought her entire closet, and go out and just have an amazing time. And so I thought about for a minute, what would be the best definition that I could give someone that says, what is your brand? And what does that look like? Because when you look at it, there's really no definition of what a brand or your brand should look like. And when I walked away from my job as a high school teacher, I remember thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to be successful, right? But I had absolutely no blueprint. Like, there was not a running start to say, well, if you want to be successful, do this. So what did I do? I started to emulate everyone, as I call in Facebook University. Okay? I'm not sure how many of you all are in Facebook groups, but I go there, or went there, and I was like, wow, so whatever the most popular photographer was doing, that's what I did as well. But did that garner me my happiness? The answer was no. Why? Because I was not operating in my space of happiness. I do not like newborns. No. I don't like chasing after children. I quickly learned that was not my gift. Okay? And honestly, I don't like photographing adults. I know, I'm sorry. What's my happy place? My high school seniors, my teens. And so for you all, your brand is your business fingerprint. And I thought about that really hard, because there's 600 people-ish in this room, and none of us have the exact same, what? Fingerprint. So everyone sitting in the room, the person next to you, the person across the room from you, the person out in the lobby, none of us will have a brand that's exactly the same. Do you get where I'm going with this? So when I was in Facebook University and I was trying to emulate the brand of someone else, I wasn't happy. because that was not my fingerprint whatsoever. So I thought long and hard, and I was like, the art of building a personal brand. And if you saw this presentation a few weeks ago, the A was there for alignment. But after a little bit of thinking, I was like, you know what? Alignment is good. But what I think they need to hear today is about authenticity and being exactly who you are supposed to be. Because sometimes we get caught up in trying to be everyone else, that we are no longer ourselves. We're stuck trying to be the top 10 wedding photographer. We're going to buy those presets. We're going to buy that camera. What's your settings? What's this? What's that? But are you being true and authentic to yourself? And so when you start to think about your brand, I want you to always remember that you need to be authentic to who you are, okay? Everything that I do, I love cupcakes. Oh my goodness. I love cupcakes, I love sparkles, and I love pink. Yeah. So you will see that, and you see the cupcakes at my tummy. You see the pink that I have on. You'll always be able to see a little bit of me throughout my work. So this picture is everywhere, right? And so I went to Canmore in November for the Real Life Conference. And I was like, you know what? I want to go on a snow date in the snow. I'm from Houston. Let me tell you, that is not the same type of temperature. So I go, I get all of my warm gear, I find a model, because I wanted to do something a little bit different. Everyone else was like, well, let's just go find some brides and some grooms. And I was like, no, 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 I don't like adults. No, no, no. Let me find a high school senior in the area in which I can pour myself back into. But me working in my authentic place, that gave me the opportunity to be here on this stage. That's why that picture was made. Not because I went on the photo walk with everyone else and went to go find brides and grooms and couples and, ooh, those children. But I found something that I wanted to do. So again, what am I thinking with? My fingerprint. So I want you to think for a moment, when you're thinking about building your personal brand, making your fingerprint, what drives your happiness? That's the very first thing that you want to do. Not the happiness of your competitor, not the happiness of I think every city has a location that everyone goes to. Yes? Not that place. Not that place. Unless that's your happy place, okay. But if it's not, go somewhere else. Go drive around to find some locations. Put them in your phone. Lock them in. Find locations that make you happy. Because for some reason, my parents are like, let's go to the gazebo. And I'm like, no, we don't want to go to the gazebo. Well, I want to go do this. No. The high school senior now, we just want to go on our play date. Please leave us alone, parent, please. But find out what drives your happiness in your business. Because me photographing weddings, being away from my children for 10 to 12 hours a day, the only happy part of that day is the wedding cake at the end. That's it for me. So I don't want to spend my Saturdays, my Fridays and Saturdays photographing someone else's happy moments. I want to be creating those moments with my children. That's what's important to me. Now, my daughter now, she likes to get dropped off at places, so right now, I'm really just her Uber. Okay? My son, if we get to go do some Fortnite and he's into Marvel, cool, we can have a play date. But that's what I find in my happy moments. Does that make sense for you all? So I created a business that makes me happy. So I only photograph clients twice a month. One, I'm in school. Two, my kids signed up for every activity in the school. So I'm busy throughout the week going to karate practice, basketball practice, feeding other people's children that I really don't know. I'm doing that because that's what makes me happy. Because when I'm gone, right, I'm gone Monday through Thursday this week. My son has a karate tournament on Saturday. I don't want to go sit there all day, but I am. Because what? For him, his mama is the most important thing. Me being there, me being consistent, right? So everyone knows, and I was telling friends last night at dinner, when I was photographing weddings, my children are so much involved in my brand that my clients, when I would show up to the weddings, would say, "Where are your kids?" Literally. So if I didn't have a babysitter because I'm a single mom, I could bring my kids to my photo sessions. There have been times when my kids have been at the weddings, sitting at the table eating with guests, and I'm over in the vendor room eating a cold sandwich. Because that's my personal brand, that's my happiness, people know that. And so your clients, when they see you happy, living in your authentic moments, what will they do? They'll embrace it. They want you to be happy. So this is a play date that we went on last week. I was like, let's go to the carnival. I didn't know that they were afraid of the rides. I didn't know. I thought we were going on a real play date, and when they got ready to go on the Ferris wheel, one little girl started shaking. I was like, okay, you don't have to go. But for me, when I look at my portfolio, I want to see happiness. I believe in letting children be happy. Teens, letting them stay youthful. They don't have to grow up so fast. So my brand is all about making these happy moments. We went to the laundromat, and the people in the laundromat were like, you're just going to take pictures? Yes. For what? Because it makes us happy. But that's what you have to do. You have to create those moments for your clients. It all goes into your brand. This young man, he said, "Ms. Colvin," I said, "Yes." And people think that boys don't have a say-so in their high school senior portraits. Most of the time they don't. It's really their mamas. But every now and again, you get a young man who says, "Ms. Colvin," I said, "Yes, I want to go in the alley." "Okay, let me go find you one." And that's what we did. Why? My entire brand is all about, I really do spoil my high school seniors, I'm going to be very honest. Wherever they want to go, if it's within reason, we will go. Because when you look at my portfolio and you look at my brand, more than likely during that high school senior season that's coming up in the spring, no one will go to the same place because they all want to be different. Okay? So, if money were no object, what would you all photograph? Would you currently still be photographing the same thing? Somebody said no. How many of you are saying no? I see a lot of hands. No. So, if that's not your happy place, then we need to make some changes today to your personal brand, and that's what we're going to do. So everyone's been watching Netflix lately. My friends have been rolling up their shirts. I am not that friend, by the way. Everyone has been organizing, if you've seen it on social media. Have you all seen this lately? Everybody's being organized. Like, what is happening with people? But one of the things that she said was that keep only those things that speak to your heart. So for your brand today, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're only going to keep those things that make you what? Happy. So make a little mental checklist right now. If you no longer like chasing children, take photographing children off of your things to do list. Take it off of your Instagram, take it off of your Facebook, take it off of your website, because if you have something there that you don't enjoy photographing, people are going to call you for that exact thing. So take it off of your site. Go back through and take off all of those things that don't make you happy. Not the things that don't make you money. Leave those things. But those things that don't make you happy. If you know that headshots are not your jam, take them off. If you know that you no longer in 2019 want to spend your weekends photographing other people's days for 12 hours of a day, perhaps you should say, I'm no longer taking weddings. Because I'm still getting the inquiries, but I have a little autoresponder, or my assistant will respond and say, oh no, she doesn't do that. No thanks. No. Tomayia, you won't photograph our wedding? Absolutely not, but I will come and eat your cake. Okay? Nope, not coming. Why? I'm keeping only those things that make Tomayia happy. So at the end of the day today, in a few minutes, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to keep those things that make you happy. So this client and I, we're besties. That's what I think, at least. And she said, well, I want to go to the park. I said, okay, that's cool. Well, her hair is natural like mine, but she really wasn't confident in her hair just yet. She was kind of like, I'm not really sure about this, Miss Tomayia. I was like, okay, whatever. So she puts her turban on, and she's beautiful. But what did I have to do? I had to affirm her, right? I had to be the role model. I had to be her mini mama. She had to see me with my hair big and fluffy for her to know that it's okay. And so in a few pictures after that, she went to the restroom and she took it off. Because I'm what? Authentic. She could see herself in little me. So now that we have erased all of those things that we didn't like, we're going to reconnect your dots. So now, once you've taken all of those things away, those things that we don't like, start putting your pieces back together, okay? So I expect from you, this is the teacher in me coming out, yes. I expect that within the next, I'll give you a week. You're welcome. That you'll be able to clean up your Instagram feed a bit, take off some of those things that don't make you happy. If you're trying to figure out what your editing style is, please figure that out. Okay? Whatever it is, if it's dark and moody, if it's happy places, whatever your editing style is, pick one, stick to it. Okay? Consistency in your brand. So go back, clean up your Instagram. Delete those things that do not make your feed cohesive. Your Facebook page, do the same. And then on your business website, if I were to just to go there and check your homework in a week, should I be able to see those things on your website that you no longer like? No. Because if I did, I would pick up the phone and say, hi, yes, I have a newborn. I would like to spend 5 hours of my time with you. And you're going to say, oh, shucks, I forgot to take those newborns off of my site. Gosh, dog it. But that phone call will make you remember what? To take it off of your site, okay? So I had to put myself back in my business. That was one of the big things for me, being authentic and being able to just really just kind of lean into what I like. Because for a little while, I played it safe. And I'm going to show you my progress in just a second. I played it safe so that I would fit in with the rest of the Facebook community in my area and the things that other people were doing that seemed to be working for them. So I played it super, super safe. But it didn't make me happy. So I had to put Tomayia back into her business. So I am not Beyonce. I did not wake up like this, okay? The brand that I created It didn't start. This is just a bit of work. This is a bit of finished product. This is a little bit of concealer from no sleep. But what you're going to see in just a moment is the progression. Because people ask all the time, well, how do I even start? What if I'm broke? Sister, we've all been there. We've all just getting started. So, wait, let me go back before we go to this next slide. You all have to promise not to judge me on my first pictures. Okay? Pinky swear? All right. Now we can go to the next slide, because if you all start judging me, I'm going to start noticing, and I'm going to say, no, no, no. I'm going to go to your Facebook page and find your pictures from 5 years ago. Okay? All right. So now, since we're in a non-judgmental zone, we've cleared the space. So this was my very first logo. You could not tell me that I was not amazing at this moment. I do not know why, but I put that logo on everything. You hear me? Everything. I was so proud, like watermark. This is it. Did you all do the same? Yes. Sometimes I put my watermark on those photos. Okay. So this was the very first logo. I think I spent $10 on Etsy. Pretty as a picture photography. I was like, yes, Tomayia, yes, girl. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. But then divorce happened. And I was trying to figure out, like, who am I? So I was kind of like one of those Tina Turner moments, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take my name, okay? So that's what I did. Because I was like, you know what, that girl, she's all right. Tomayia Colvin, I like her. So I started to rebrand as just my name. So you see a bit of progress here. Hopefully you see progress. So the first one, we go over to the right. So it's Tomayia Colvin, photographer. I was still a teacher, philanthropist, still doing my work. But you can see in the progression of all of these things, you still see pink. Do you see that? So even in 2012, with my first logo from Etsy, I was pink. Then we move over. I was like, for some reason, I saw a script, and I thought that was fancy. So I was like, I'm going to be fancy too. So I went to script. But then I was still at the bottom like, you know what? I like boldness. I want the teens to know that their brand, their senior portraits can just be like bold. We don't have to fit in the box. And that's still the same thing that I do today. I'm still a bit unsure about that flyer, though. I'm not sure. I think I did that in Photoshop. But then you could see a little bit of progress. Then I think I paid $20 for the next logo. And I was like, wow. Can you all see the difference? The growth? A tiny bit? So then we go to this one, and I do have permission to use it. So in 2015, when I walked away from the classroom, I was like, you know what? I'm going to invest in this girl that I love so much, Tomayia Colvin. So I knew in order for me to be successful in the way that I wanted to do, in the way that I wanted to put myself out there in my brand, I hired a branding expert, Katie. And Katie has stuck with me through 2015 all the way up until today. So when you find someone that enjoys and loves your brand, keep that person around because they're able to grow with you. She knows that I love sparkles in real life, but I hate glitter, period, in my branding, period. Please do not show me glitter. Automatic decline. So she was like, well, what colors kind of speak to your heart? What's at the top, guys? Pink. Still there. But she was able to just really expand my brand. She was able to see something a little bit more than what I was currently putting out there. So we redid the website. I got new headshots. If you don't have one, you should invest in one. And try to do something that speaks to your heart. What color am I wearing in my photo? Pink. Your brand should be cohesive across every single platform. So what Katie did for me was that every single place, whether it was Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and I think Periscope was actually going at the time. Every single place that I had my fingerprint, it was always cohesive, every single time. So regardless of where you saw Tomayia Colvin, you would be like, oh, that's Tomayia, that's me, yep. I want you to do the same thing with your brand. Now, is this going to happen overnight? No, it is not. And that's why I wanted to show you the beginning. Because sometimes we think, oh, well, I'm going to go to a branding session this morning, and then by 4 p.m., I'm going to have a brand new brand. And tomorrow, when you wake up, you're like, oh man, I don't have a brand new brand, and you're kicking yourself thinking, oh, I'm not successful, I'm not good enough, I didn't do well. The reality is, guys, is that it took me 6 years to get to this point. This did not happen today. So I want you to allow yourself the space and the opportunity to allow yourself to go through the process of growing your brand. It does not happen just tomorrow. It just does not. So then, one of the things I like to say is progress over perfection. How many of us have projects we have not started because you wanted it to be perfect? Yep. Let it go. Just let it go. Progress over perfection. So I launched at that moment the Unbox project. That was my personal project. Then you'll see I'm doing still my high school seniors, and then I have a best-selling children's book. Progress. It's not perfect. Because where did I start? This girl started back here. But you get a chance to see her, me, grow up a little bit. So I feel like, okay, we're getting there. I was like, you know, I have this big thing for education. Why not you launch your own education platform? Okay, that's going to be interesting. So I started something, and people believed in me at the same time. Because at the time, I was doing the broadcast in Starbucks. So I had to plan all of the recordings before Starbucks closed. Seriously. But I believed in that brand so much that I just kept going. So then I was like, I don't see a magazine that is really showing people of color all the time. I don't see that. I think I will start one. So what do? I sit down, I said, okay, call Katie up again. Katie, excuse me, I would like to launch a magazine. What? Yes, Katie, listen, let's go with this, okay? I want to launch a magazine. Okay, cool. So she comes back and she's like, what do you think of this logo? What do you think of this? And I was like, you know, that's cute, I love it. Because at some point in life, I just started trusting Katie with everything of my life. But that's where I was. And then here I was like, I really want to see photographers of color more in the photography industry. How do I address that? What do I do? Because that's my jam. Being authentic, creating spaces. So I did it. I launched a cookout. And that's what David was telling you about. The cookout really came to be because I needed to face my fear. Because sometimes we don't put our things out in the universe because of what? Fear. We're afraid that it's going to fail. Okay? So I go out and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to launch a photography conference, and I'm going to put all black speakers on the lineup. Now, this can either fail, or this is going to go extremely well. But I was willing to do what? I was willing to risk it because I was living in my authentic place, okay? It was something that I believed in, and it sold out in 4 days. You should clap. Okay. Now, I want you to think, though, did I start there? No. What did I start with? A $10 logo from Etsy in 2012 or 13. Are you feeling inspired yet? Yeah, all right. Okay, woo. All right. So then I get here with you all today. But that same little person, that same $10 Etsy logo brought me all the way to today. So what I'm saying for you guys, for your personal brand, scratch the idea that this is going to just be perfect today or tomorrow, okay? I grew up with my grandma. My grandma is a baker, okay? How many of y'all have a grandma that bakes? Okay, my grandma does not use any recipes. Somehow her cakes always come out perfect. And I was like, Grandma, how do you do that? Because when I'm trying to replicate your recipe, you say put a pinch of this. Excuse me, that is not on the measuring cup. How much is a pinch exactly? Okay, and she's like, a pinch. Well, put a pinch more. Wait a minute. I need half a teaspoon, half a cup, because that's what's on the measuring cup. But what has Grandma done? She has perfected her recipe. I don't care how many times I can watch her in the kitchen, my peach cobbler is not going to be her peach cobbler. Okay, one, I'm not standing there and rolling that all day. I'm going to go buy some pre-made pie crust. Okay? But I want you to think about if you're baking your cake for your business. Okay? Remember, it's your fingerprint. What you put in it, you have to put just enough to your liking and to your taste. Because some of you all are on keto. Bless you. Okay? I'm not, not at all. But when you start to build that brand of yours, think about what little pieces of you are you going to add in. Because the person sitting next to you, the person that's most popular on Instagram today or on Facebook, they've perfected almost-ish their recipe. You can't have their recipe. You have to make your brand and your business your own personal recipe for success. That's it. That's the bottom line. So what do we do now? You have to take some action. So you're going to hear from several speakers today. And you're going to leave super, super inspired. But what's the problem with that when we leave sometimes? We don't do anything. It was just me that doesn't do anything. Okay, I'll own that because we're being authentic. I remember going to conferences and I would be so inspired, like I was about to just go live my super best life afterwards. And then I would get home and my kids would say to me, we're hungry. Have you not been hungry the last 3 days that I've been gone? Okay? Life happens. It does. Life does not stop because you're at depth of field today. When you get home, your children probably will be hungry. Your spouse is going to say, where's the food? Your job is going to say, did you send that email? Did you finish that report? Did you do whatever you were supposed to do? And then what's going to happen to you building your personal brand? You push it back. You just keep pushing it back until it's June or July, and you're like, wow, I was supposed to rebrand this year. What happened? You did not take action. So if you do not do anything else today, I want you to just write down 3 things that you're going to do. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do so now. About your brand. Just 3 tiny things. Because what we'll do, we'll make a list of 25 things. And then we'll get overwhelmed because it seems too much, right? I can't do all 25 things. I can't do my website. I can't hire a brand person. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. But I assure you, you could probably do 3 things. It may not be easy, but you could do it. You could accomplish it if they're baby steps. Remember, I did not get all the way to 2019. Where did I start? 2012, 2013 with the $10 Etsy logo. You have to start exactly where you are. So take action and write down your 3 things that you are going to do with your brand when you walk away from this conference. And I just so happen to bing you on Facebook and say, so how's that going for you? How's your 3 things? Because I want you to be able to say, well, I decided that I'm no longer going to do this, and I decided to put myself back in my business, and I'm going to do the following. I can roll with that. I'll be okay with that. So, create a vision board. How many of you are vision board people? Yeah, no, nobody's a vision board person. Okay, that's fine. All right. So, vision boards are where you just pretty much you take pieces of magazines and you put your visions together. How does this work for your business? Write down the things that you want to do for 2019 in your business. If you want to photograph 40 weddings, put 40 in weddings. If this is your dream location to photograph in Italy, put a picture of Italy on there. If you want to photograph the cover of a magazine, put the cover of the magazine there. Why? Because when you wake up, you'll be able to visually see, this is what I am aspiring to be for 2019. This is what I'm thinking, okay? I put my vision board right next to where my computer is because I sit there every day. So if I look over and I'm saying, you know what, you had too many cupcakes today, you said in 2019 you were only gonna have 1 a week. Okay, fine. Because it reminds me of what I set my goals to be and what I said I was going to be for 2019. The next thing I highly suggest that you do is that you create a brand board. And a brand board represents all of your happy places in one photograph or one image. And I would create a secret Pinterest board. Men, you can do Pinterest too. And put on there your favorite books, your favorite authors, some of the legendary photographers, some of the people that you may aspire to be, some of the people that you gain inspiration from. Put the colors on there. Put affirmations so that when you look at your brand board, it's very easy for you to say, if a client calls and says, well, I want to do this, I don't really think this matches my brand. You don't tell the client that. But you do write up something a little nice and says, maybe you're not available. Because 2019, we're working in our authentic place, our happy places. If you pull up your brand board should look like the business that you aspire to be. Does that make sense for you all? And if you have different brands, because some of you do weddings, some of you do portraits, some of you photograph children, Some of you do a variety of things, architecture, nature, and that's totally fine. But I encourage you to have a different brand board if that's two different places of your life. Does that make sense? Okay. So for me, for my brand board, for weddings when I got started, that one was very different from my high school senior one. My senior one was, it was a mess, but it was fun. You would see on there candy, balloons, all types of happiness, right? You probably see the same thing on the wedding one, but just a little bit different. It was more youthful, more colorful, because that's what I wanted my high school senior brand to look like, okay? Now, for my wedding brand, that one was a little bit different. It wasn't as bold. It was like real soft and romantic. I'm the only one that had a soft and romantic brand. Okay, that's fine. But I want for you to create your own brand board. Have it. Create it. Show it to your friends. Does everyone have a photography bestie? Okay. You should get more besties then. Okay. Get your photography bestie. Maybe make a little play date with your friend, bless you, that says, maybe swap it and say, well, do you think this looks like me? No. No, it does not. Well, thank you for being honest. Okay. Do a little play date with your friend, and you maybe create the time or luncheon. Create your brand boards. Play around a bit. Use fonts. Do all types of things to create your brand board. Ask people, when you think of my brand, what comes to mind? Because you may be giving out something that you had no clue. I may think, oh, I'm joyful and happy, and other people are like, no, sister, you've been using those dark presets. And I'm not sure what happened, but you are no longer joyful and happy on Instagram. I don't know what happened, but you put those in the trash. Okay, fine. But make sure that the brand that you create, that brand board, make sure you edit a few of your own images so that everything is aligned. Does that make sense to you all? Yes? Okay. So if I check for homework, because I will. Okay. So people don't care how much you know until they know that you care. I'm going to encourage you all to launch a passion project. Something that you do that you are not paid for. She said my whole business. Okay. Something that you do that you care for. For me, for my high school seniors, I noticed that they were a size 0 and they were saying they were fat. How? Because some type of way the media had told them that a size 0 and a size 2, that was the average size. I'm not sure where, but okay. So I needed to create a project for my high school seniors so that they would feel beautiful with me. That's what I did. I took their pictures. I created my own photography exhibit. Took all of their pictures and made an entire event out of it. It's called the Unbox Project. You saw it earlier. So I invited all of their family to come to the exhibit. And it was just really, honestly, a picture of their choosing. I did not let their parent pick the pictures because you know that that is not the same. So they picked their picture and they came. I had some food, some drinks, and I just allowed them to celebrate exactly who they are. Because for some of our teens, society is telling them that they're not okay, that they're not small enough. They're too different. So for my kids, I wanted them to know that Miss Tomayia cared, and that they were perfect exactly who they were. So I encourage you, if there's something happening in your area and you're like, man, you know what, I could probably put my fingerprint on that, I would do that. So I'm in Houston, Hurricane Harvey comes, uh-oh, entire city is underwater, okay? So I'm thinking, Tomayia, how do you put your fingerprint on this? And this almost, senior portraits are coming. And one of the high schools that I pull high school seniors from, the entire high school flooded, period, point blank. There is no more high school, okay? And I'm like, wow. And I'm thinking, as a parent, I would probably not be really concerned about high school seniors' portraits at that moment. I would probably be trying to figure out, at that moment, it was food, because we'd ran out. I ate all my hurricane snacks early. Trying to figure out insurance adjustments, how to even file all of these things that were happening, because a hurricane had never hit Houston like that before. We didn't have a roadmap for that. I was like, well, how do I put my fingerprint on this situation? So I said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. If there's a high school senior in my area who was affected by Hurricane Harvey, which was probably everybody, I will photograph your senior portraits for free. Period. Don't ask me I'm not asking you for $1, anything like that. I'm going to do this because I care about my community and I care about what my kids are going through, okay? What happens? As a result of that, the news station showed up. People that I didn't even know on social media were donating clothes for the high school seniors. My lab donated canvases for them, announcements for them. So just me putting my one little tiny fingerprint to saying, this is something that I believe in. As a mama, I would not be concerned with high school senior pictures. I know that they're important, but what's most important is me taking care of my kids, okay? That's the luxury. We can deal with that later. So I come in and I say, well, you know what? I got you on that, mama. As a mama to mama, I'll take care of that for you. That landed me on #1 on Google search. Not my high school senior pictures, that's number 8. I check my SEO, that's how I know. But that, if you're looking up Humble High School senior photographer and that type of thing, people remember, well, who's that girl who did those senior pictures for Harvey? No, we're calling her. Parents remember that. Parents of parents remember that. It doesn't matter how good the photos are. I mean, that's great, like, woo. But the most important thing was that I was doing something from where? For my heart. So I encourage you that if you're not giving back a piece of your fingerprints, something in your community, you need to start. Whether it's with your SPCA, shelters, I've gone to homeless shelters with teens, because that's anything within that teen domain. Homeless shelters, doesn't matter. That's my happy place. 13 to 18, I'm there, doesn't matter. So whatever your space is, you need to create your own lane, because that's what's going to make your brand stand out. In my area, there's 15 photographers within probably a 1-mile radius, and in the garage sale group. So what's making Tomayia Colvin stand out? Is it her photos? Yeah, she's pretty good. But what makes her stand out more than anything else? Her heart, the brand that she has created. So for you all, last slide. We're going to recap. This is teacher me again. If you haven't aligned, make sure that you're authentic. Reconnect your dots and start taking action. Remember, you should have your 3 things that you're going to do when you leave here with your personal brand. It's not anyone else's. Don't go on Facebook looking for, oh, I like this. I want you to remember, is that my fingerprint? If it's not, you need to go back to your brand board and say, okay, no, this is what makes me happy. Does that make sense for you all? Okay, so I'm going to take time now for questions. Does anyone have any? Go ahead.
No question.
Whoa, they're scared.
So as someone who's young, I feel like sometimes you kind of have to dig through the rubble and kind of eat the crap sometimes, you know, as you're building up your brand.
Yeah.
Do you take jobs that conflict with your brand or your values in the beginning? How do you deal with that in the beginning?
So I have to feed my kids. Does that mean I post it? Okay, so if your rent is due, my friend, okay, you do what it takes to take care of your home. That does not mean that you have to post that work. That means you put the money in the bank, okay, and you take care of your house. Because people, and I'm happy that you asked that question. That's an excellent question. Because I don't want you to be homeless, because I've been evicted from my house before, trying to keep up with everyone else, thinking, oh, I should only take the $3,000 gigs when I let the $300 gigs go, when in actuality, 300 times 10 would have got me there. So always make sure that you're taking care of your house.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't have the microphone.
Hi.
Hello.
What if your heart is in 2 different extremes?
Like what?
Like teens
Uh-huh.
and landscape. Teens and landscape.
Okay.
How do you promote both or deal with both?
I would personally have probably 2 social media accounts for that, just so that I don't confuse, because teens do not care about nature. I'm just being, they don't care. So you're pulling from 2 completely different demographics of people. So I would definitely separate the brands out. Or I would have one landing page that separates when you get to your one page to take them to 2 different places. Because they're not going to pay attention to it. They don't care. You're welcome. Uh-oh. Hold on. Who's going first? Ladies first. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Your earlier logo that didn't have your name in it versus the one with your name. Can you maybe elaborate on the pros and cons of branding with your name and without?
Okay.
Because I personally, when I started out, did not want my name out there. I wanted to do it a little bit anonymously because I have a day job and I do photography kind of on the side, and yeah, so I wanted to know
Yeah.
what your thoughts are about that.
So when I started out, I was still teaching. And so Pretty as a Picture pretty much got me all the way almost till it was time for me to be Tomayia Colvin. Remember, I went through a divorce and I was struggling to find my voice and who I was. And so for me, the most important thing was my name. And so the school just got what they got. And for a little while, I had it private. And then at one point, I think I just said, the hell with it. And just went full-fledged. And just kind of was like, you know what, this is my brand. I'm not going to hide, who I am. And I was just very clear, that I didn't work during school time and I didn't do things that were a conflict of interest. With my job, obviously, even as a role model for kids, I wouldn't post pictures of me drinking or doing anything like that anyway, I don't even photograph high school girls that don't have on many clothes. I'm like, pull your shirt down. So it was really for me, it was just kind of like a transition over to, it was just growth, honestly. But for me at that moment, my most important thing was my name, because that's all I had left. Uh-huh.
It's on? Yeah. How do you balance out when you use your camera, whether you want to do it for just, you feel like just going out there and just for fun, or when you have to use it just for work?
How do I balance out the two?
Yes.
So it really depends, because I've been traveling a bit. I really felt like I needed to go immerse myself back into the community a little bit more, because I'm gone a lot now. And so me creating those play dates for me was my opportunity for me to kind of go out and play. If there's something where it speaks to my heart, more than likely I'm not going to charge for it. That's just kind of that's just my thing. If there's a kid who says, or a school counselor says that the kid can't afford senior pictures, I'm never going to charge them for that, ever. And I don't care who has an argument with me about it. Argue with yourself. So it just, for me, I work out of my happy place and my place of authenticity. If I feel like someone's trying to get over, then I won't photograph it. But if I feel like it's really genuinely from my heart and I can really put my fingerprint on it, then I will do it. Yeah. Uh-oh, sorry, yes?
Thank you for this conversation. It's really great. When you're just starting out in the field and people ask you, well, what's your rate for a portrait, or what's your rate for this? And you're still trying to figure out what your own rate is or what your photography worth is, what would you say is a good way to figure out that pricing point?
Well, I do have a free pricing calculator on my website. Just so happened that you asked that question. That's my other talk, pricing for profit. But if you want to know, on TomayiaColvinEducation.com, there is actually a free pricing calculator there for you. I can't give a whole pricing. I can't answer that because it will take me 45 minutes. But I will answer you in the corner after my talk.
Thank you.
Okay.
So you take projects that you have passion about, that you have a passion for. How do you eloquently say no to the projects that are not the fit, the wedding inquiries, things like that?
Oh, I have my assistant do it.
So I'll make up a fake email account.
Yeah. Whatever you have to do. But I will text and say, Haley, say no. Because one time, ladies, I think I was traveling for imaging, and she was like, well, I need you to respond by 5 p.m. And I was like, you're not the boss of me. I'm the boss of me. And we had responded, and I just said, you know what, I'm not working with her because she's going to give me a headache. And I said no. So I told Haley the answer was no. And so I would just craft a response, take your feelings out of it, make it business. You don't say, I don't want to work with you, obviously, or I can't work with you, but just really just say, just make up something really nice. I apologize if this does not fit. And I think we said, I don't think we're a match. Because I think she had made me mad. But yeah, so just something eloquent so that you know if it doesn't match on your brand board, just have a rebuttal and stick to it for a little bit. She has a question. Her hand has been up for a while. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Who are you
short.
calling out tonight?
Lady?
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome.
I recently heard a professional photographer make a recommendation about images that we put on our website versus images that we put on social media feeds. And the suggestion was, or the wisdom was, your best work should be on your website, your portfolio quality work on your website. And we were encouraged to keep our social media feeds a little more diverse. So quality images, but maybe not that very perfect image. What I tend to do is the perfect image goes in all 3 places. It goes on Instagram, it goes on Facebook, and it goes on my website. But I wanted to know if you had any thoughts about having a little variation
On each one?
in content, subject matter, and maybe quality between website and social.
I photograph seniors. They would never go to my website. They could care less about my website, honestly. For me, my brand is going to live on Instagram. Their parents go to my website. So will I update at all times? Probably not. If you go to my website, I honestly probably, the images there are probably maybe 6 to 8 months old, honestly. My Instagram account is where things that happen like today or wherever I am, that's what happens. That's where my most recent work lives, because it's kind of like it's always ever growing. I don't have time to sit down and update my website every day. That's just not where my life is. And my clientele, they don't care about my website, to be honest with you. They only really care about, is she on Snapchat or Instagram? That's really all they really, sorry, my group is really different. But I mean, I would say whatever, find a balance there. Maybe like once a month, go in and update those images to your website. I would just find a balance and really do what works for you. Because what may work for me and these teenagers that I serve, I don't know if it really works for adults all the time. Uh-oh, we have one more.
On.
Oh, 5 more. No, David said
Testing.
no. Okay.
Testing 1. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Can I-
Okay, sorry. He has
Can
a
I
mic.
ask you,
Go
first
ahead.
of all, let me say your presentation was great.
Thank you.
A question I have, how do you combat today in photography when you have 1 million people using iPhones thinking it's a camera? I haven't been able to pick up a camera in 3 months. Everywhere you go, everyone thinks an iPhone's a camera. It serves a purpose for certain things, but it's not a camera. In
Yeah.
my opinion, it's not a professional camera. So how do you deal with that?
So my kids really do think that an iPhone is a professional camera, just FYI. And so for me, what I live in products, wall art, albums, things that, something that's tangible, something that they can hold and feel, because the iPhone and their 10-second Instagram video or their feed, that's not something that their grandchildren can look on 50 years from now. And so you'll be surprised that, yes, the iPhone is there, it's instantaneous, it's bam, 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 but at the end of the day, I'm thinking about longevity in 100 years from now. And I'm afraid to say that Facebook and Instagram is not going to be here in 100 years. So I put my bang in my buck, my butter in my cake, in my printed photos. They can't, I mean, I'm dealing with high school seniors. They can do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, they still can't touch me with prints.
#wisdom.
Oh.
Tomayia.
You're welcome. Thank you.